Jared Leto versus Joaquin Phoenix.
Woo! The battle of the broads.
These are two actors who are very highly regarded for their talent and their skill. However, they don't usually star in a film. They're usually a very important supporting role.
They're the highest level of Hollywood white noise.
I wouldn't call them white noise. So the first category that I want to take a look at, if you haven't seen an actor comparison before, we're basically going to split their films up into categories. We're going to compare the categories, and one of them will win each category until we determine who the superior actor is. And the superior actor gets a cool graphic at the end that says winner. Yeah, that's what they're fighting for.
And we get to be harassed by your hateful comments when you don't agree.
The first category is drama in a supporting role. Leading roles are disqualified from this category. It is supporting role dramas. Joaquin Phoenix has his iconic role in Gladiator. He has Hotel Rwanda, To Die For, U-Turn, and Quills. So basically Gladiator.
Yeah.
Jared Leto has The Thin Red Line, Dallas Buyers Club, which is his nominated role, Fight Club, small role, Girl Interrupted, small role, American Psycho, small role, Alexander, and Lord of War. So, supporting actor drama, you have big hitter in Gladiator. He's the main villain of the entire movie. He's the one that Maximus is trying to gain revenge against the whole time, and he makes you feel how goddamn slimy he is from the start.
Oh, I cannot tell you the level of frustration that little bitch put me through that 2.5 hours.
Like, even watching them fight, and you know he's at a disadvantage, you're just waiting for him to die. He's like hitting him when he's forcing the knife into him. He played the role well, because he's slimy. His scenes with his sister, like, what are you doing, dude? Jesus.
Oh, it really... I don't have words for how much rage I felt in that movie.
But that reaction that he elicits from us shows how well he did that role. Because he makes you feel the way Maximus feels.
You see, and it comes down, like, when we get into the Dallas Buyers Club as well. Like, just going through that filmography of those two, I instantly picture baseball. These guys are like traditional power hitters. They have a shitty average, batting about 220 for most guys that they bat against, until they hit that 4-run bomb where it's just a grand slam and it's fucking out of the park.
See, you bring up an interesting point. I agree with that point with Joaquin Phoenix. Joaquin Phoenix is up and down with some of his supporting roles. Jared Leto, granted, a lot of these are minor. Like Fight Club, he's in it. If you took him out, it'd be the same movie.
But that's what I'm saying, is he disappears.
But, and yeah, I agree with you on certain movies. But Alexander, he's very important. He plays Hephaestion, I believe his name is. Alexander's like right-hand man and love interest with his wives. Important role. Lord of War, he's the brother of the main character. He does help to drive the story, and he's a good contrast because he shows how that lifestyle can really wreck someone's life versus how it didn't manage to wreck Nicolas Cage's life.
But are you really going to look me in the eye right now and tell me that Alexander was a great movie?
I think the director's cut of Alexander is incredibly underrated.
I think that movie was off to a great start in probably the first 45 minutes to an hour.
Okay.
And then slowly falls apart.
So you're negating his performance based on the overall movie, which is fair. You can do that if you want.
But that's the thing, is his performance is part of the equation that carries me through that movie. And towards the end, the second half of that movie, I felt like all of their performances becomes pretty dry and lackluster. And
that's fair.
I become disengaged.
Okay, so we can stick it to Dallas Buyers Club, which he, got award recognition
I mean,
for.
he makes you really,
Right.
like Gladiator, he makes you really uncomfortable.
But here's the thing. I have not known very many AIDS-ridden transsexual people, and he still makes me feel empathy for his role.
Oh,
in
he
Dallas
does. He
Buyers
definitely
Club.
does.
So he does a very excellent job in that. Just like Joaquin makes us hate him in Gladiator. So the question is, which of these two films is a better performance, and does Leto's advantage in the amount of films give him the edge in supporting?
In this category, as much as I don't want to, because I'm really not a big Leto fan, I'm going to give him the win, because Leto's character is a character like transgender, gay, AIDS. That is someone that in large-scale culture is someone that a lot of people are still uncomfortable with. They're still working their way towards accepting that culture. Right. And being that as it is, making people like him and care about him and give him empathy, that is a that much harder thing to do, because he is making you uncomfortable while you're watching it, but you do still feel that empathy.
I think that's a great way to sum it up. I agree with you. I think, unfortunately, Joaquin leans too heavily on that single Gladiator performance. He's great in these other films, but they're not as iconic, and the films themselves aren't as memorable as Leto's lineup is. So we will give drama to Jared Leto. Drama in a leading role. So Joaquin Phoenix has Buffalo Soldiers, We Own the Night,
Buffalo Soldier,
Two Lovers, The Master, Her, Inherent Vice, and Walk the Line. So that's a much better list than his supporting role list. Jared Leto's list is smaller, so they kind of trade off on these categories. Jared Leto has Requiem for a Dream, which is a very big one, and Mr. Nobody, and Prefontaine.
You know what's kind of funny is we get into this lineup, and you look at Her for Joaquin Phoenix, and that character makes you feel empathy and uncomfortable, like Jared Leto's in Dallas Buyers Club.
That's true.
And if you look at Requiem for a Dream, you hate that motherfucker just like you hate Joaquin Phoenix.
I wouldn't say I hate the main character, but I certainly
He's stealing his
despise
grandmother's
a lot of his
TV
acts.
for like the 100th fucking time.
So again, he elicits that reaction. So you're right. The roles really do kind of trade off. I think Joaquin's list is difficult to argue against. The Master is a movie that is very dry, very slow, but it is a movie made for an actor. It is a movie designed to show off acting. He is the driving force in The Master. Her is a weird, uncomfortable experience. Walk the Line is a biopic. And those can arguably be even more difficult than a fictional character, because you have to portray someone who actually existed.
And if you fuck up, the world will light you up.
And again, Prefontaine is also a biopic, but I don't believe he was nominated, whereas Joaquin was for Walk the Line. So I think this is a pretty heavy category that goes to Joaquin Phoenix.
I'm going to agree. I mean, too many of those movies were too successful to compete with.
Yeah, and he got award recognition for two of them.
Yeah, I mean, Jared Leto has done some great work and some shit work, but I don't really think anything where he's been in the limelight really has pushed itself out there as far as Joaquin Phoenix has.
I agree. Other genre. So outside of drama, these are the blockbusters and the offbeat movies that they chose to do. These raise some interesting movies. So Joaquin Phoenix has a lot of Shyamalan in his filmography. He was in The Village, he was in Signs, and he was in I'm Still Here. And Jared Leto had the recent Suicide Squad as the new Joker, which don't even get me started on that whole issue. And then early in his career, he was one of the primary invaders in Panic Room. So Panic Room at its time was very well received. Suicide Squad, very mixed. Whereas Shyamalan, The Village was right where Shyamalan started to dip into his not respected place, and Signs was right at the apex of his career. So which way are you leaning with these other genre movies?
It's tough because I want in the grand scheme of things, I feel like Joaquin Phoenix is probably the better overall actor. But even in this category, like, it leans Jared Leto.
Yeah, see, my biggest thing is I think The Village, Signs, and I'm Still Here are more consistent than Suicide Squad and Panic Room as movies.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not even going to look at Suicide Squad because that was like 10 minutes worth of film spread out along 2 hours. But Panic Room was pretty influential.
Panic Room was very, very influential. But Suicide Squad, in its defense, he was in my favorite scenes of that movie. Now, regardless of how I think he compares to Ledger, he had a presence, he had an interesting take on the character, and he obviously committed to it. Panic Room, again, he played a very realistic person. That's the person I would expect to be involved in a ridiculous home invasion like that. So I would tend to agree with you. I think that Suicide Squad and Panic Room show more range, whereas The Village, Signs, and I'm Still Here, he's a somewhat, well, I guess in The Village he played like a mentally challenged character, but in Signs and I'm Still Here, it's a somewhat similar role.
And I really feel like in Signs, I mean, he's there, but you
wait. I mean, no, he didn't. I just mixed him up with Adrian Brody. He totally didn't play the mentally challenged character. He was arguably mentally challenged, but he was not the blatant one that Adrian Brody played. So now we have to ask, who is the best overall actor? We have determined that Leto is a superior supporting actor and that Phoenix is a superior leading actor, and therefore he's outside of the genres lead slightly Jared Leto. So who is overall objectively better between these two?
I'm going to go with Joaquin Phoenix because, I mean, yes, Jared Leto won out of our categories. Joaquin Phoenix is the better leading actor, and though certain actors turn in great performances as supporting actors that really influence or impact a certain movie, the leading roles are the ones we remember for decades, and so on and so forth. And if you can't carry a movie, you're going to be forgotten about.
I think I will agree, because while supporting acting does require a heavy degree of nuance, it also can vary radically between how much of the movie you're actually in. Like, you can do a great performance and only be in a movie for 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
It's very possible. We saw that with Les Mis, with the one song Oscar. So it's a wide range. When you are the lead, you drive that movie and you are in, 90%, 80% of the entire movie. It's a much heavier burden, and to be able to carry a movie as a lead is huge. And for that reason, Joaquin Phoenix is still superior because he simply has better lead roles.
Yeah, because, I mean, as a supporting, your role could impact that movie to bring it to the next level.
Right.
But if you falter, the movie can still rise up without you. But if the lead falls on his face, the movie falls on its face.
All right, so there's your winner. Especially with Keanu versus Tom Cruise. For fuck's sake, how can he beat Tom Cruise? I thought that was the worst comparison of all of them, and everyone disagrees with us.
Don't get us wrong. We said in the video, we like Keanu better. But that doesn't... Liking someone better does not make them better.
Okay, so we digress.
Well, it's not Adrian Brody's fault. His brain probably fell out of his huge nose.
He's a good actor. Jesus.